secret of your life has always been within you, waiting quietly, patiently, faithfully, for the moment you would finally turn inward and claim it. You have believed that the future is something that arrives little by little, that it is a slow unfolding that takes place outside of your control. You have believed the future is something you walk toward, something unknown, something unpredictable. But today, you will awaken to a truth far more powerful. The future is not something you go to. It is something you enter by permission of your own imagination. It is not distant. It is not foreign. It is not ahead of you. The future exists within you now, and you can teleport to it the moment you decide to feel it as real. There is no distance between you and the life you desire. The distance only exists in your belief. When your belief dissolves, the distance dissolves. When the distance dissolves, you discover that the future is not a destination but a vibration, not a place but a state, not a time but a feeling. And the moment you feel the state, you arrive. You do not need a machine to teleport. You do not need technology. You do not need years. You need only the courage to close your eyes and assume that what you desire has already taken form. Everything you long for, every achievement, every success, every relationship, every transformation, every miracle is already existing in the invisible world of imagination. And imagination is not a lesser world. It is the originating world. It is the world where true creation happens. The visible world is only its shadow, its reflection, its echo. To teleport to the future, you must first understand that time is not linear. It is psychological. Time bends, stretches, collapses, and reshapes itself according to the state you occupy. When you dwell in a state of lack, time feels heavy, long, slow. When you dwell in a state of fulfillment, time becomes light, effortless, immediate. You shorten the gap between yourself and your desire by dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You lengthen the gap by dwelling in the feeling of waiting. Most people wait for the future. They wait for change. They wait for a sign. They wait for evidence. And because they wait, they stay exactly where they are. Waiting is a state. Waiting is a future that never arrives. To wait is to declare that what you want is not here. To want without having is to create a future where wanting continues and having never comes. But to feel yourself already possessing it is to teleport directly into the timeline where it is yours. Understand this deeply. The moment you feel a desire, the future version of you who has already received it begins pulling you toward itself. You think the desire comes from the mind, but it comes from the future. It is the future version of you whispering, reminding, calling you toward what is already yours. And so the desire itself is evidence that the future exists. It is evidence that your destiny is already completed. When you honor the desire, you move closer to the version of you who holds it. When you doubt the desire, you step away from that version. The distance is emotional, not physical. Teleportation happens in consciousness. It is instantaneous, it is internal, it is subtle, it is silent. You teleport the moment you feel differently. Feeling is the true act of travel. Feeling is the vehicle. Feeling is the engine. Feeling is the door. The state of your wish fulfilled is the destination. When you feel the scene of the life you desire with such vividness that it becomes more real to you than your physical circumstances, you step into that reality. And once you have stepped into it within, the outer world must reshape itself to align with what you have accepted as true. The world around you is not solid. It is not rigid. It is not fixed. It is pliable, fluid, responsive, obedient. It mirrors the inner state with complete accuracy. It does not question. It does not resist. It reflects. The moment you assume a new identity inwardly, the outer world begins moving, arranging, orchestrating, and shifting to match the identity you have accepted. This is why you must guard your inner world with care, because your inner world is the blueprint of your future. To teleport to the future, close your eyes and step into the version of yourself you long to become. Feel their confidence. Feel their calm, feel their success, feel their joy, feel their gratitude, feel their certainty. Do not imagine yourself trying to become them. Imagine yourself already being them. Do not see the change happening, see the change completed. Do not hope for the transformation, feel the transformation as real. And then for a moment, utterly forget the person you think you are. Forget the limitations, forget the failures, forget the disappointments, forget the doubts. Let them dissolve like mist. and stand fully in the state of the you that already exists in the future. You must feel the new identity so deeply that the old identity no longer has power. The old identity may try to return, whispering its old stories, reminding you of its old patterns. But the moment you recognize those stories as illusions, they lose their grip. You teleport not by fighting the old, but by fully accepting the new. When the new state becomes natural, familiar, effortless, you have arrived at your destination, and your outer life must follow. Consider this: every time you imagine something vividly, you are rewriting your timeline. Every time you feel something deeply, you are calling a new future into being. Every time you dwell in a new assumption, you are teleporting to a new level of existence. Even if you do not yet see the outer changes, the inner shift has already placed you in a new reality. The outer world is slow, not because it resists, but because it must reorganize the vast web of circumstances to match your new state. But the moment the state changes, the future changes. The moment the future changes, you feel it, you know it, you sense it. And that feeling is your proof. The most powerful tool you possess is your ability to feel beyond your senses. Your physical senses deceive you. They show you what is, not what can be. They show you the past, not the future. They show you the echo, not the voice. But your inner senses reveal the world before it becomes visible. And if you trust your inner senses more than your physical ones, you will create a life that feels miraculous. There will come a moment when the scene you have imagined feels more real than the world around you. This is the threshold of teleportation. This is the moment the future becomes the present. This is the moment the new state becomes dominant. When you cross that threshold, the outer world must obey, because the inner world is the cause and the outer is the effect. To teleport to the future, you must detach from the old story. Do not argue with it. Do not fight it. Do not fear it. Simply remove your attention from it. The moment you refuse to feed it with energy, it begins to collapse. Old timelines fade when you no longer believe in them. Old states dissolve when you no longer identify with them. The only power they ever had was the power you gave them. Withdraw your attention and it dies. Give your attention to the new future and it lives. There is no power greater than assumption. What you assume to be true becomes true. What you assume to be real becomes real. What you assume to be yours becomes yours. You teleport to the future by assuming that the future has already arrived. And you live each day as though the miracle has already happened. This is not pretending, it is creating. This is not fantasy, it is faith. This is not delusion, it is design. You are not imagining to escape reality, you are imagining to create it. You are not dreaming to disconnect from life, you are dreaming to shape it. The dream is the seed, the feeling is the water, the manifestation is the harvest, and you decide the season. There is a version of you living the life you desire. They already exist. They are not a fantasy. They are the real you, calling you forward. You teleport to them when you feel their life as your own. You merge with them when you breathe their breath, think their thoughts, walk in their posture, speak in their confidence, live in their gratitude. And once the merging is complete, the outer world cannot do anything except reflect that new identity. Do not underestimate silence. In silence, the future becomes clear. In silence, the doorway to new states opens. In silence, you leave behind the noise of circumstances and enter the truth of imagination. Silence is your portal. Go within. See the life you desire. Do not try to force it. Simply accept it. Do not judge it. Do not doubt it. Let it unfold naturally. Feel it gently. Let the scene form as it wishes to. And when the feeling arises, the feeling that tells you this is real, hold that feeling long enough for it to settle into your being. This is the moment of teleportation. You may ask, how will it happen? But that is not your concern. The how belongs to the unseen intelligence that shapes all things. The how is not your job. The feeling is your job. The state is your job. The assumption is your job. When you occupy the right state, the how reveals itself effortlessly. You do not need to chase the future comes to you. You do not need to strive, you need only to allow. The path will appear. The circumstances will shift. The people will show up. The opportunities will unfold. But they can only come when you have already accepted the outcome internally. Life does not give you what you want. It gives you what you are. To teleport to a new future, you must become the version of yourself who belongs in that future. You cannot carry your doubts into the future and expect the future to welcome you. You cannot carry your fears into the future and expect the future to open its door. You cannot carry the old identity into the new reality. You must step into the state that matches the life you desire. You must feel it so deeply that you become it. And when you become it, the whole universe rearranges itself to match the new version of you. Everything aligns, everything responds, everything conspires in your favor. This is not magic, this is law, and you are the one who activates it. Tonight, when you close your eyes, do not drift into sleep passively, drift deliberately, drift consciously, drift intentionally. Enter the state of the future you desire. Feel it as though it is already complete. Let it absorb you. Let it become the last thought you carry into sleep. Sleep in the feeling of fulfillment. Sleep in the state of having. Sleep in the emotional reality of the outcome. Because the state in which you sleep is the state in which you awaken, and the state in which you awaken is the state you carry into the day. And the state you carry into the day determines the day you will experience. Teleportation begins in imagination, continues through feeling, and finishes in manifestation. You are not bound by time, you are not limited by circumstance, you are not defined by the past. You are free, you are powerful, you are creative. You are the architect of your future. You are the one who decides which timeline you enter, not by force, not by struggle, but by assumption. If you believe you must wait, you will wait forever. If you believe you can arrive now, you will arrive instantly. The future bends to your belief. The timeline shifts according to your feeling, and the world transforms when you transform within. Teleport now, feel now, become now, and let the world catch up to the truth you have already accepted. The future is waiting for you to claim it. Close your eyes, enter the state, live it inwardly, and you will find yourself standing in the world you once only imagined. And as you step deeper into this inner world, you begin to recognize that imagination is not a passive playground, but a living dimension that responds instantly to your emotional frequency. It is a realm where your thoughts crystallize into form, where your feelings shape the landscape, where your assumptions become law. This inner world is your true home, the place where all creation begins. When you accept this, when you truly know that the invisible precedes the visible, you stop trying to fix the outer world and instead mold the inner one. That is the essence of teleporting to any future you desire. When you imagine a scene that implies your wish is fulfilled, and you feel the reality of that scene, you are not daydreaming. You are shifting timelines. You are stepping into a version of yourself that already exists. And once you occupy that version, even momentarily, the old timeline no longer holds the same power. Your consciousness cannot remain in two states at once. The stronger state prevails, and the state you feel more vividly becomes the reality you walk into. Think of the future not as something approaching you, but as something you select. Like a radio tuned to different stations, your consciousness tunes into different outcomes based on the frequency of your feelings. When you feel fear, you tune into futures that match fear. When you feel lack, you tune into futures that match lack. But when you feel gratitude for something you have not yet seen physically, you tune into the future where that gratitude is justified. When you feel joy for a success not yet visible, you tune into the timeline where that success already exists. You do not create the future through force, you select it through feeling. This is why some people move quickly in life while others remain stuck. The difference is not intelligence, talent, or opportunity. The difference is state. When you linger in a state of limitation, you relive the same patterns. When you shift into a state of possibility, life unfolds. Nothing external changes first. The external world is simply a delayed mirror of your internal state. Change the inner state consistently enough, and the mirror has no choice but to reflect a new image. Now imagine for a moment that every desire you hold is not random, not accidental, not a simple wish, but an invitation from the future version of you who has already lived that experience. The desire is their signal, reaching back to you saying, "Come, this path is yours." The desire is proof that the future you are meant to experience already exists in consciousness. The only step required is to accept it as real. The moment you accept it, the bridge of events begins to form. You might not recognize the path at first, because it often unfolds through subtle moments, unexpected meetings, sudden insights, or impulses that guide you gently toward the reality you have already claimed. The bridge does not need your help, it only needs your trust. Your job is not to manipulate the steps, your job is to hold the state. When you hold the state, life arranges itself. Circumstances shift, conversations arise, opportunities appear. What once seemed impossible becomes natural. You find yourself being guided by an invisible intelligence that knows exactly how to bring your desire into form. But you must remain loyal to the unseen. You must remain faithful to the future you have selected, even when nothing in the present reflects it yet. Faith is the language of teleportation. Faith is not hope. Faith is not wishing. Faith is not wanting. Faith is knowing. Faith is the absolute conviction that what you have felt inwardly must unfold outwardly. Faith is the unwavering acceptance of your chosen future. And when you stand in faith, the future bends to meet you. There will be moments when your senses try to convince you otherwise. They will show you lack, delay, and doubt. But these appearances are the remnants of old states dissolving. Do not be disturbed by them. They have no power unless you give them power. Continue to return to the feeling of your chosen future. Continue to embody the version of yourself who already lives it. Continue to feel the reality of your desire as that it is the most natural thing in the world. Your imagination is the workshop of eternity. The images you create within it carry the seeds of your destiny. Every inner scene you craft is alive and begins unfolding the moment you feel its reality. You must therefore use your imagination with intention, precision, and reverence. Do not imagine casually, imagine deliberately. Let each scene be infused with the emotion you wish to experience. Let each moment you create internally be saturated with the feeling of completion. When you imagine joyfully, you call forth joyful futures. When you imagine confidently, you call forth confident futures. When you imagine lovingly, you call forth loving futures. Every feeling is a command, every emotion a signal, every assumption an instruction to the unseen forces shaping your life. The question is never, can I teleport to the future? The real question is, which future am I willing to accept as real? Because the moment you accept it, it becomes yours. And as you deepen your awareness of this truth, you begin to understand that the future is not a distant event waiting to happen, but a living field of possibilities, each one vibrating at a particular emotional frequency. You enter one possibility or another depending on the emotional state you choose to inhabit. This is why the inner world must be cultivated carefully, because the emotions you dwell in become the architect of the timeline you occupy. Every feeling is a blueprint. Every assumption is a doorway. Every belief is a realm you step into. When you realize this, you stop reacting to the outer world and begin responding from the inner one. Reaction keeps you tethered to the old timeline. Response, grounded in inner certainty, shifts you into the desired one. The difference is subtle, but life-changing. Reaction is unconscious. Response is deliberate. Reaction is born from fear. Response emerges from clarity. Reaction binds you to the past. Response teleports you to the future. There is immense power in choosing how you feel before circumstances give you permission to feel that way. Most people wait for success to feel accomplished, wait for love to feel worthy, wait for prosperity to feel abundant. But this is moving backward through reality. The feeling must precede the fact. The inner must precede the outer. You must feel accomplished first, and then success finds you. You must feel worthy first, and then love arrives. You must feel abundant first, and then prosperity takes shape. By choosing the feeling before the evidence, you select the timeline where that evidence already exists. The world outside cannot resist this decision. It must adjust. The moment you feel something in imagination, you are not pretending, you are participating in a higher form of creation. Physical reality is slow, dense, and delayed. Inner reality is immediate. It is quick. It is responsive. And when you return to the inner feeling often enough, the physical world becomes compelled to reveal it. You are not forcing the world. You are aligning with it. You are not pushing circumstances. You are harmonizing with the version of yourself who already holds what you desire. The more familiar you become with this inner version, the easier it becomes to access that timeline. At first, it may feel distant. You may feel as though you are stepping into a character. But with repetition, the character becomes natural, and what once felt imagined becomes your true identity. And when the identity shifts, the life shifts automatically, because life is nothing more than the reflection of who you assume yourself to be. Identity is the engine of teleportation, not the identity you perform for others, but the silent identity you hold when no one is watching. That identity creates your future. If you see yourself as limited, your future must reflect limitation. If you see yourself as powerful, your future must reflect power. If you see yourself as chosen, guided, capable, destined, your future must unfold accordingly. The world bends to the identity you embody most consistently. You do not need years of effort to become this new identity. You need only moments of deep acceptance. You have experienced this before without realizing it. Think of times in your life when a single decision changed everything instantly. A moment when you felt something shift inside you and suddenly your thoughts, behaviors, and actions aligned with that new reality. That was teleportation. That was a shift in identity. That was you entering a new timeline without needing gradual transition. You have done it before unconsciously. Now you will do it consciously. In every moment, you are either stepping into the future you desire or the future you fear. The deciding factor is the feeling you choose. Fear selects one timeline. Faith selects another. Doubt creates delay. Certainty creates momentum. The future you step into is not determined by fate or chance. It is determined by your inner assumption of who you are and what is possible for you. This is why it is essential to let go of the belief that change must be slow, incremental, or difficult. That belief itself is a timeline of struggle. The truth is that change can be immediate the moment you feel the new state is real. When you shift inwardly, you are not waiting for the future, you are entering it. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself living the life you desire, do not observe that version of you from a distance. Become them, enter their body, see through their eyes, feel through their emotions, think through their thoughts, walk through their world. The more vividly you embody the feeling, the more quickly you merge with that timeline. You are not imagining to escape your present reality, you are imagining to create your next one. Every time you enter that inner scene, you strengthen the neural and energetic pathways that align you with that future. Eventually, the shift becomes so powerful that the physical world rearranges itself to match. There is no limit to how far you can teleport. You can move into timelines of miraculous success, profound transformation, unexpected blessings, and extraordinary expansion. The only limit is the boundary you place on your imagination. If you dare to feel a larger life, you will enter a larger life. If you dare to assume a greater version of yourself, you will step into a greater version of your future. The inner daring is always the first step. The outer evidence follows naturally. And as you practice this inner movement, you will begin to notice subtle changes in your physical reality. Signs, synchronicities, shifts in behavior, new opportunities, intuitive impulses, people appearing at the right moment, doors opening effortlessly, small coincidences that reveal the invisible process unfolding. These are not random. They are indicators that you have already teleported inwardly and the outer world is adjusting to your new state. They are confirmations, not causes. They are the echoes of the change you made in consciousness. Your role is to remain loyal to the feeling of the new timeline, regardless of what the old reality shows. Loyalty to the inner state is the mark of true mastery. Anyone can believe once evidence appears. The real transformation belongs to the one who believes before evidence exists. That person shapes destiny. That person bends time. That person teleports to futures others never experience because they never allow themselves to feel them. The future is not coming. It is already here, waiting for your acceptance. Every possibility exists now. Your imagination is the selector. Your feeling is the activator. Your assumption is the anchor. What you claim inwardly becomes your lived experience outwardly. You do not need permission. You do not need validation. You do not need conditions to align. You need only the decision to inhabit the state that matches the future you wish to experience. Every future you can imagine is already alive in the unseen. Each one waits for you to step into its vibration. You do not move toward these futures through effort, struggle, or action alone. You move toward them through identity. The moment you decide who you are, reality rearranges to reflect that decision. Identity is the doorway through which all futures flow. If you identify as someone who always struggles, you will enter the futures where struggle exists. If you identify as someone who is chosen, abundant, guided, and supported, the futures that match that identity will open before you effortlessly. There is a silent shift that takes place when you assume a new identity. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is subtle and powerful. This shift is the true teleportation. It is the moment you stop trying to reach a new life and instead claim the feeling of already living it. Once this shift happens, your body, your thoughts, your choices, and your experiences begin aligning with that new identity without force. You become naturally drawn to actions that you once had to push yourself toward. You attract conversations you once hoped for. You feel guided by impulses that bring you into alignment with your selected future. And as this new identity grows stronger, the old one begins to fall away. Its habits lose their grip. Its patterns break. Its emotional reactions weaken. The memories associated with it begin to feel distant, as though they belong to someone else. This is the moment you realize that the past does not hold you. It only holds the version of you who believed in it. When you stop feeding that version with your attention, it fades. You do not break free from the past by fighting it. You break free by outgrowing it. Every time you return to the feeling of your chosen future, you step further into that future. Every time you embody the emotions of your fulfilled desire, you strengthen the bridge to that timeline. You do not need to see the entire path. You only need to feel the destination. Feeling is the magnet. Feeling is the guide. Feeling is the map. When you feel the end deeply enough, the steps toward it unfold with perfect timing. There are infinite versions of you living infinite lives. You choose which one you align with through your inner acceptance. When you embody fear, you align with the fearful version of yourself. When you embody confidence, you align with the victorious version. When you embody gratitude, you align with the fulfilled version. These versions are not imaginary, they are realities within the field of consciousness, existing simultaneously. You teleport between them through the inner decisions you make each day. If you could see how quickly your life rearranges after you choose a new state, you would never doubt again. The shift may be invisible at first, but it is immediate. The outer world is simply slower to reflect the change, because it must rearrange countless threads of circumstance. Yet the moment you hold the new state as dominant, everything begins moving in your favor. Chance encounters, sudden clarity, unexpected opportunities.